Turn the car around. Now, Liam whispered, his voice low but charged like a live wire. I blinked, my hands tightening on the steering wheel. What? Why? We're almost there. He didn't look at me. His eyes were fixed on the road ahead, pupils shrinking. Please, just turn around. And I did. We'd been 10 minutes away from my parents' house, the place where this year's big family reunion was already underway. Balloons, potluck casseroles, and a backyard full of people I hadn't seen in years. Most of whom I didn't miss. But I was going. Because it was expected. Because my mom said, this time we're doing it right. I trusted Liam. I always had. He wasn't dramatic. If anything, he was too even. So when he told me to turn around without explanation, I didn't argue. I took the next exit, a quiet road lined with trees. The kids in the back seat were half asleep with juice boxes and tablet screens glowing against their faces. No one asked where we were going. Not yet. I glanced at Liam. His jaw was tight. He pulled out his phone and opened something. What's going on? I asked softly. He handed me the phone. It was our family group chat. The one titled, The Big Day Party Popper Shortcake, where my mom had been sending updates all week. Photos of folding chairs. Weather forecasts. Don't forget sunscreen, memes. And there, nestled between a potato salad picture and a gif of Grandpa dancing at his 85th, was a message I hadn't seen. Sent just 2 hours ago by my cousin Sadie. Can't believe Uncle Drew's actually coming, face screaming in fear, haven't seen him since the lake house days, lol. My breath caught. Uncle Drew. No, I whispered. Liam nodded. But I started. He's not supposed to, he's not. Dead? Liam finished, finally looking at me. No. He's not dead, Claire. He just disappeared. And now he's coming to dinner. Uncle Drew wasn't someone we talked about. At least not after 2005. He used to be the fun uncle. The one who brought weird candy from overseas and once let me watch a movie I wasn't supposed to. He lived in a van for a while, did some work with a healing collective, and vanished after a weekend at the lake house when I was 17. There was an incident. No one ever said what it was. Just that he wasn't welcome anymore. That he needed help. Then, nothing. No calls. No mentions. No Facebook. Like he'd been quietly deleted. I remembered the lake house. I remembered the screams. Claire, Liam said gently, if he's there, I don't want you anywhere near him. I don't care what story your mom's spinning now. It's not safe. But she told me he was living abroad. That he left the country. She lied. I looked back at the message. Sadie didn't know. She was too young then. She wouldn't remember what happened. Probably just thought Drew was some weird estranged relative with a long beard and a collection of bad decisions. Did you see the photo she posted right after? Liam asked. I swiped. My fingers trembled. The photo showed the backyard. People laughing, someone grilling hot dogs. And in the back, near the garden fence, a man. Partially turned. Graying hair. Black shirt. Glasses. He wasn't looking at the camera. He was looking directly at the window. The one leading into the upstairs hallway. The hallway where I slept that summer. Where I locked the door and pushed a dresser in front of it. My hands went cold. What do we do? I asked. Liam's voice was calm again. Grounded. First, we don't go there. Second, you need to tell me what happened at that lake house. I didn't speak for a long time. Because no one ever asked me that before. Not even my mother. And maybe I was finally ready to say it. We drove in silence for nearly 20 minutes. The only sound was the soft hum of tires on asphalt and the occasional chirp from the kid's tablet. I turned the GPS off. We weren't going anywhere. Not really. We were circling. Hiding. I pulled into a gas station and parked behind the building, far from the pumps. Liam didn't move at first. He just stared through the windshield like it held answers. I finally broke the silence. He was never supposed to come back. Liam nodded slowly. But he did. I tried to remember the last conversation I had about Uncle Drew. I was 19. Home from college. My mom had snapped when I mentioned his name, voice sharp, face pale, like I'd said a slur. We don't talk about him, she said. You weren't even there that night. But I was. She just didn't know it. Because I was in the hallway. I was supposed to be asleep. But I heard it, the footsteps, the slamming door, the voice that didn't sound like him. And then, the silence. I looked over at Liam. Do you remember that weird night after our wedding? The one where I couldn't sleep, and you found me sitting on the floor in the dark. He nodded. You said you had a nightmare. I shook my head. It wasn't a nightmare. It was a memory. That summer at the lake house, the adults were drinking heavily. Uncle Drew more than most. He'd disappear for hours. No one ever said where he went. Just shrugged and called him Drew being Drew. But something changed that last night. Something cracked. I remember the hallway light flickering. I remember the sound of his voice, except it wasn't a voice. It was deeper. Off. Like someone trying to mimic him through static. He came to my door. I didn't answer. I held my breath. He stayed outside for 10 minutes. Didn't knock. Didn't speak. Just stood there. Then he walked away, and a few minutes later, someone screamed. No one ever told me who. Or why. The next morning, Drew was gone. His van, his things, even his toothbrush. My mother claimed he'd left during the night. He needed space, she said. But his room had been locked from the inside. Liam opened the glove compartment and pulled out a small folder. I need to show you something. I raised an eyebrow. He handed me a printout. This came in the mail last week. I didn't tell you because, honestly, I didn't believe it at first. I unfolded it. It was a page from a background check. Not official, more like something pulled from a deep web forum. At the top, Andrew R. Marr. My uncle. The file listed no current address. But there were pings. Digital traces. One was dated 4 months ago. Guess where? The property registry office in our hometown. Another from a week later, a visit logged to a hardware store. The same one my dad uses. I swallowed. They knew. They did, Liam said. Or at least they suspected. And they didn't warn us. They invited us to a party and made sure he'd be there. Why? That's the part one don't know. That night, after we checked into a roadside motel, 2 queen beds, buzzing light above the bathroom mirror, I checked my phone again. 3 missed calls from Mom. 1 from my sister. A voice note from Sadie. Hey, just a heads up. Drew's been kinda weird. I mean, funny weird. He said something about remembering the lake house, but he wasn't even that old, right? I think he mixed you up with someone else. He asked if you still sleepwalk. I didn't. I never did. But someone told him that. And someone lied. Or worse, someone knew. I played the voice note again. At the end, I heard something. Faint. A man's voice. She remembers more than she says. The air left my lungs. That wasn't background noise. That was him. And he was standing close enough to Sadie to be caught on audio. I didn't sleep that night. Liam did, eventually curled up beside the kids, one hand over his phone like he was expecting it to buzz with bad news. I sat in the motel chair, the scratchy one by the window, listening to every creak of the hallway outside. At 3:12 a.m., I opened my messages again. Scrolled. Stared. Sadie's voice note replayed on a loop in my head. She remembers more than she says. He said that. Drew. But I hadn't seen him in 18 years. Not once. Not in person. Not online. Not even in some awkward family group photo. So how could he know what I remembered? Unless someone had told him. By sunrise, I had a list of names. People who were there that night. Who'd stayed quiet all these years. I called my cousin Brian first. He used to be close with Drew before everything fell apart. He picked up on the second ring. Claire, he said, groggy. Everything okay? I need to ask you something. And I need you to tell me the truth. Silence. It's about the lake house. The last night. What happened to Drew? He didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was flatter. I don't know. I wasn't in the house. You weren't in the house, I repeated. No. That night, I went into town. Stayed with a friend. That's not what you told my mom back then. You said you were asleep in the basement. Another pause. I don't remember saying that. Brian. But he'd already hung up. Next, I tried Aunt Susan. No answer. Then my sister. We're kind of busy, Claire. Can we talk later? No one wanted to talk. No one wanted to remember. Except me. And apparently, Drew. By noon, Liam had packed the car. He suggested we head home, take a few days, maybe talk to someone who could actually help, a lawyer, a therapist, anyone with credentials and a calm voice. But I wasn't done. I texted my mom. I need to talk to him. No response. Then I tried again, just one word. Why? This time, she replied. Claire, please don't do this. It's better if you let it be. I stared at those words. Not, he's dangerous. Not, you're remembering wrong. Just, let it be. Like this was a song on the radio and not the man who once stood outside my door in the middle of the night whispering words I still couldn't explain. That afternoon, I made Liam drive back to our hometown, not to the party, but to the lake house. It had been sold years ago. Some real estate development group bought up the whole block, tore down most of the old cabins, and turned them into expensive rentals. But I still remembered the way. My body did. My bones did. We parked a few streets down and walked the rest of the way. The lake shimmered under gray clouds. The air smelled like pine and something old. The house was still there. Mostly. Repainted, re-roofed, the porch replaced, but the bones were the same. The railing where Drew once tied a wind chime. The tree where I fell off a swing. The window that used to be mine. I walked around the back. Past the dock. The grass was shorter now, tidier. But the back door, it was the same. Same chipped frame. Same uneven hinge. I stared at it. Because I remembered that door. It was the one Drew used to sneak out of. The one they always said stayed locked that night. But the morning after the incident, I'd found muddy footprints on the kitchen tiles leading to that door. And I'd never said a word. Until now. We didn't stay long at the lake house. Liam kept checking over his shoulder like he expected someone to step out from behind a tree with answers we didn't want. But I couldn't leave without doing one thing. I took a photo. Just one. Of the back door. Its chipped white paint. The crooked screen. The handle that stuck in the winter. I snapped it and slid the phone into my pocket like it might start burning. We left without speaking. But my head was louder than ever. The lake house wasn't just a memory. It was a hinge. A turning point. Everything before it had a kind of golden tint. Everything after, colder. Unnamed. That night, after the kids fell asleep in a borrowed crib at Liam's sister's house, I sat on the floor of the guest room and zoomed in on the photo I'd taken. And that's when I saw it. At first, it looked like glare, a trick of the light against the screen door. But as I adjusted the brightness, contrast, sharpness, the shape became clearer. Faint. Distorted. But real. A reflection. Of someone inside. Just barely visible behind the mesh. A face turned slightly. Watching me. Not full. Not detailed. But there. I blinked and stared again. It was like déjà vu wrapped in dread. Because I knew that posture. I'd seen it before once, years ago. In a photo I was never supposed to see. I opened my old email, the one I barely used anymore, and scrolled through years of digital dust until I found it. Family_Lake 2005. JPEG. It was a group shot. Everyone smiling, red-faced from sun and cheap wine. Kids on shoulders. Someone holding sparklers. It looked harmless. Except it wasn't. Because if you zoomed in past the bonfire, past the lawn chairs, there was a shape in the upstairs window. A shadow. A person. Watching. I remembered when I first noticed it. I was 22. Bored one night. Scrolling through old memories. And then I saw that window. That shape. I'd asked my mom about it. She said, "That's just your uncle. He didn't feel well that night." But here's the thing, that window was in the hallway. And Uncle Drew's room was on the opposite side of the house. I sent the two photos, the one from today and the one from 2005, to a friend of mine who worked in digital forensics. I didn't explain. I just typed, "Do you see anything weird in the reflection?" 10 minutes later, she replied, "Who's the man in both?" "The one with the glasses." Same face shape. Same jaw. 18 years apart. I stared at the message. Because in 2005, Drew looked thin, wiry, with that long blonde hair and sarcastic smile. But in the lake house photo, the one I'd just taken, the man reflected in the door? He looked exactly the same. Not 18 years older. The same. Like time hadn't touched him. Like something had paused. Or hidden. It came from a throwaway address, a jumble of numbers and letters I didn't recognize. I checked the source. It bounced through 2 anonymous servers. But I knew who it was. Even before I opened the attachment. A photo. Grainy. Taken from a distance, probably on a phone. A figure standing outside what looked like a hospital or a rehab center. The man was facing away. Shoulders hunched. Wearing that same black shirt I'd seen in Sadie's party photo. Even blurry, I knew it was him. Drew. But what caught my eye wasn't him. It was what he was holding. A sketchpad. And on the cover, scribbled in blue pen. Claire 1997 to 2005. I slammed the laptop shut and stood up so fast the chair toppled. Liam stirred in the bed but didn't wake. I stared at the ceiling, heart pounding. He had a folder with my name on it. My name and the exact window of years I'd tried to forget. Why? What was in there? What did he keep? I sat back down and stared at the screen. Refreshed the email. No follow-up. No explanation. Just 3 words. You were right. But about what? The next day, my mother called. I didn't pick up. She called again. Then a 3rd time. Finally, I answered. I don't want to talk about the party, I said before she could speak. I know, she said. It's not about that. Her voice was too careful. Neutral, like she'd rehearsed it. Someone broke into the old house. I froze. What? The lake house. A neighbor called. Said a window was open. Said someone was inside last night. The police found a camping stove. Some clothes. Nothing stolen. But what? I whispered. She exhaled. They found drawings. Pinned to the walls. Of you. My stomach flipped. What kind of drawings? Just faces. Yours. At different ages. One of them was from your school photo. The one where you wore the yellow jacket. I hadn't worn that jacket since I was 9. No one but family ever saw that photo. And I'd never posted it. I ended the call. Didn't say goodbye. My hands were shaking too hard. I opened my old photo album. Dug out the school picture. Yellow corduroy jacket. Braided hair. Crooked front tooth. I remembered that day. I cried in the bathroom before it was taken. No one knew why. But someone did. Someone remembered. And someone had drawn it from memory. The same day, another message arrived. Same anonymous email. This one said, "They changed the story. But I remember the truth. So do you. Come alone." Beneath it, coordinates. Not to the lake house. Somewhere deeper in the woods behind it. I copied them into a map app. It was a clearing. No trails. No paths. Just trees. And silence. Exactly where I swore I saw him vanish all those years ago. I didn't tell Liam. Not because I didn't trust him, but because I needed to go alone. The email said so. And some part of me, a part one didn't know I still listened to, believed Drew would vanish again if I broke the rule. So I left early, before sunrise. I left a note on the bedside table. Said I needed air. That I was driving to the lake. Just the lake. Nothing more. The lie sat sour in my mouth. But I kept driving. The air was colder the farther I went. And heavier. Like the trees remembered. The GPS cut out 2 miles from the coordinates. I parked on the side of a narrow dirt road and got out. The woods were still, quiet in that wrong way, like the world was holding its breath. I followed the map by instinct. Down a slope. Across a narrow stream I barely remembered. Then up again. Through thorn bushes that scratched like they were warning me back. And then I found it. The clearing. Just like I remembered. Only, it wasn't empty. A small wooden structure stood in the center, part shed, part shack, built from mismatched planks and salvaged windows. Someone had dragged furniture here. A metal chair. A fold-out table. An old camping lantern. And taped to the walls, not pinned, taped were pages. Dozens. Maybe hundreds. I stepped closer, breath caught in my throat. Drawings. All of me. Me as a child. Me holding a book. Me asleep on a couch. Me at 13, holding my knees in the back of my mom's car. all drawn by hand. All unmistakably me. I turned slowly. Every surface of the shack was covered. Not just drawings. Notes. Dates. Phrases. One wall was labeled. When they stopped believing me. Underneath were entries like, March 11th, 2002, told Mom. She said it was a dream. April 9th, 2003, heard it again. Claire heard it too. Her light was on. August 15th, 2005, I saw the shadow behind her. They didn't. And then, just below that, she was the only one who didn't forget. Claire. I turned so fast I nearly fell backward. He was standing just outside the shack, one hand on the doorway. Drew. Older. But not like he should be. Not 18 years older. More like 5. Maybe 6. Like he'd skipped time instead of aging through it. His hair was longer now. His eyes sunken, but sharp. He looked at me like I was the first real thing he'd seen in years. I knew you'd come, he said. I couldn't speak. My mouth was dry. What is this? I managed. It's the truth, he said. Or the pieces of it. He stepped inside slowly, careful not to startle me. I wasn't the first to disappear, he said. I was just the first they noticed. I frowned. What are you talking about? Drew's eyes flicked to the wall, the one with the dates. You heard it, didn't you? That night? The hallway. I nodded, barely. That wasn't me outside your door, he said. I swear to you. It looked like me. It moved like me. But it wasn't. I took a shaky step back. Then what was it? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he walked to a small metal box tucked in the corner of the shack, unlocked it, and took out something wrapped in cloth. He unfolded it gently, like it was sacred. Inside was a tape recorder. Old. Dusty. Labeled in shaky handwriting. Claire, August 2005, 2:17 a.m. Drew didn't ask if I wanted to hear it. He just slipped the tape into the recorder with a click that felt louder than it should have been. Then he pressed play. The static started first, low, grainy, the kind that belongs to an old machine used too many times in too many quiet rooms. Then breathing. Shallow. Fast. Not his. Mine. I recognized it instantly. I was 17 the night that was recorded. I didn't know anyone had been listening. The tape crackled. There was a long silence. Then footsteps. Slow, deliberate, across the hallway floor. And then, my voice. Barely audible, please go away. But I hadn't said that out loud. Not with my mouth. That's what I'd been thinking. What I'd felt. But the words. I never spoke them. The tape kept playing. A knock. 2 short taps. A pause. Then something much worse. A low sound, not a growl, not a voice, but somewhere in between. A shape of sound that didn't belong in a hallway at night. It didn't try to speak. It mimicked. My voice. Whispered. Over and over. Please go away. Please go away. Please go away. But it didn't sound like pleading. It sounded like mockery. Like it was learning. And then, abruptly, nothing. Silence. The recording clicked off. I couldn't breathe. Drew watched me, waiting for the question he knew was coming. What was that? He sat on the metal chair like his bones hurt. They call it an echo, he said. I stared. He continued, slower now. It started when I was a kid. At first, I thought it was just a nightmare. A voice under my bed. A reflection that didn't move right. But it followed me. I told our parents. They laughed. I remembered that. My mom used to joke that Drew was born haunted. They said I had too much imagination, he added. So I stopped talking about it. Until that night. The night at the lake. The hallway, I whispered. He nodded. It took my shape. Stood outside your door. But I wasn't there. I was already in the woods, trying to run from it. It likes confusion. Chaos. Fear. It mimics until someone forgets who they are. I swallowed. Why me? Why are all these drawings of me? Because you're the only one who didn't let it in. I shook my head. I don't remember. Yes, you do, he said gently. You locked your door. You pushed the dresser in front of it. You knew, Claire. On some level, you always knew. I couldn't deny it. The nightmares. The way I still double-checked locks at night. The flicker of movement in mirrors when no one else was home. It wasn't fear. It was memory. I stepped back from the recorder. My skin itched. My thoughts weren't fitting inside my head anymore. What does it want? Drew hesitated. Then he looked me dead in the eye. It doesn't want anything. He paused. It remembers. Before I could ask what that meant, a low crack echoed through the trees. Footsteps. Crunching leaves. Drew stood fast. Did you tell anyone you were coming? No, I whispered. He looked toward the tree lean, eyes narrowing. Then it found us. We ran. No plan. No direction. Just movement, the only instinct left when the trees start listening and the shadows feel thicker than they should. Drew grabbed my arm and pulled me into a narrow path I hadn't noticed before. Half overgrown. Roots like veins across the soil. I stumbled once, twice, but didn't stop. Behind us, silence. Too much of it. Not the silence of peace. The kind that follows something, hungry. We reached an old hunting shack. Collapsing. Damp. A place that hadn't seen human warmth in years. Drew ducked inside and pulled me with him, closing the door with shaking hands. He didn't speak. He just pointed to the far wall. Etched into the wood, in a dozen different handwritings, some old, some newer, was one repeated sentence. It wears the face of the one you forgot. I stared, my breath fogging. What does that mean? Drew crouched beside the wall, tracing a name with his finger. My name. Claire. Scratched faintly next to others I didn't recognize. Below it, a date. August 2005. That's when it picked you, he said. But you never gave it access. You didn't answer the door. I shook my head. I don't understand. He looked at me, calm but urgent. It's not a ghost. Or a demon. It's a mirror. A parasite. It finds a crack, fear, guilt, grief, and becomes what you've tried to forget. But why the drawings? Why me? Because you held on. Everyone else rewrote that night. Your mom. Your sister. Even me. We all chose the easier version. Drew left. Drew lost it. But you didn't. You locked the door and you remembered. Outside, something moved. A crunch of gravel. A creak of pressure on old wood. And then, a voice. My voice. Please go away. I froze. It spoke again. Softer. Warmer. Claire. It's Mom, sweetheart. I'm here. Drew's eyes met mine. That's not her. The voice shifted. Claire, it's Drew. Then. Claire, it's me. 100 voices. All familiar. All wrong. Echoes. I covered my ears. That's when I remembered something I hadn't thought about in years. The morning after the lake house night, before anyone said a word, I found a drawing under my pillow. A child's face. Mine. Crying. And beneath it, one word. Remember. I'd never told anyone. But Drew had been trying to leave clues all along. Not to explain what it was, but how to resist it. I stood. Drew reached for me. What are you doing? I'm not letting it in. But I'm not running either. I stepped to the door, placed my hand on the wood, and said the only true thing I had. You're not me. The silence that followed was sharp, as if the woods themselves inhaled. Then a shudder. A vibration in the air. Not wind. Not movement. A recoil. The thing outside didn't speak again. It just left. And I knew, somehow, it couldn't hold the shape anymore. Because I'd named the difference. I had remembered. 3 days later, the lake house burned down. The official report said lightning. But we knew better. Drew left town. No forwarding address. Just a voicemail. Thank you. For staying locked in. For remembering. I haven't heard from him since. But sometimes, when the house creaks at night and I catch my reflection lingering too long in the glass, I whisper it again. Just in case. You're not me. And the silence that follows always feels just a little safer.